I don't know if you know what EFT tapping is, but we will get into that in the near future. That was a little bit of that. And our intention really goes further, takes it further. So awareness and activation was the intentions that I was setting into place while tapping the heart and the third eye, and just bringing awareness and activation to this body. Stillness and presence, and just an ability to put your defense mechanisms down for a moment, flowing into thought and information differently. The more we can reorganize this relationship with information, the calmer we will be whenever forced upon a lot of information, forced upon a lot of things either happening or needing to learn things, or many sorts of different reasons why information gets overwhelming. The speed of thought is miraculous. And one of the ways that we access information is through touch. It's through touch alone. And products that we purchase will be imprinted with your energy, and even more so products that we create with our hands. This is some of the most powerful ways of manifesting and unlocking manifestation for yourself, because walking backwards in time and space and finding where you lost your keys provides you so many things, but it's also a way of reverse engineering and opening that part of your brain that takes things apart and puts them back together, and actually uses the theater of the mind and mental pictures to do this. So, yes, I would like to talk about manifesting our emotions into physical objects. I do have a short, impactful ebook written about this with some other people's, with a couple links in there, with some other people's, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, his some of his manifesting, a short video of how to manifest down the line, because what I'm going to talk about is how you prime yourself in order to be able to do some of these things and sort of reorganize and collect the energy that emotions set into motion, right? And reorganize what emotions we're holding on to, and learning how to let go of all of the pent up and bottled up emotions that make it really easy to flow into fight or flight quite rapidly. And either or will build up an excess of anxiety and stress, and it's just not natural, and it's uncomfortable, and it's just too easy to be witnessing everything around us that everybody else does, and just build our protective mechanisms up and our coping mechanisms, and all these different pointers that tend to sort of do the same thing. So all this stuff is all natural, and one of the strongest methods. Sorry, my phone is in the sun, and it's already a hot phone. This is a Samsung S22 Ultra, so it's the front camera, so I can see how long the video is, and it's sideways, so it's not a little short box up and down. I stopped using YouTube for a second and forgot that holding the phone sideways puts it in view for TV or laptop or computer desktop format and stuff. So I started holding it again correctly. But yes, emotions and manifesting our physical into physical objects. We can do this picking up trash. We can do this cleaning the house. We can do this creating anything. I'm always drawn to Christmas time. When we were little, we would make a lot of gifts. We would make a lot of stuff in Cub Scouts and just different things that our mom would take us to that were crafts, arts and crafts. And we, all three of us, both my brothers and myself, got really good at arts and crafts and can create lots of things with our hands. It's just something you do with your kids. And sometimes as kids, it was kind of monotonous or repetitive, but it truly was part of how she showed me what entrepreneurship really is and how self-sustainability can work. So an unsung hero is always going to be our mom, and then our dad too, in different ways. Sometimes they're challenging to have. My mother was a single mother the whole time, so that's a story for a different time. But being able to manifest your emotions into physical objects, like let's say there's some trash that blew in from all over, right, into your yard. You can use this, and you can get a trash bag and use it as your never-ending love, your endless love, your compassion, your heart, your kindness, and the gift of your presence, the gift of just being here, aware, and grateful that you get to do this practice. And then each of the pieces of trash that we find, that's going to be a way of cleaning up our relationships. And the yard is just like the playground that we grew up with. And anyone that we hold any kind of energy and or ideas up with, that the way that we think that they are. Because some of the ways that we think that they are just their own coping and protective mechanisms that are gone haywire, and they, at those stages of life that we knew them, they were learning, just like we were learning, and allowing them to learn and allowing them to possibly have grown really expands us as our own person. And when we encounter them again, we can really dig into any kind of real, true, rooted apology for any parting of the ways, any wedges that were driven in between any of those friendships, lifelong friendships that turned into relationships or acquaintances or even nemesises and enemies. Any of these names that get labeled, that get put on top of, they kind of just hold on to some energies that drive our conscious awareness, and through our subconscious we create what we find. So limiting ourselves to opportunities is just something of a stage and natural to step through, and we can all kind of come to these points of our life that we allow ourselves to look at our financial awareness and our lifestyles, our spending habits, our addictions, there's so many different pointers to everything that really takes the cake away from having your cake and eating it too. Because when you really just slow down and realize that you have all the time in the world and that you have everything that you ever wanted, everything you ever needed, it really turns everything around. And you can just take your time, focus on what you truly desire, and have the good of everyone involved driving that ship into the ocean on a cruise instead of kind of just paddling around a canoe by yourself in a circle. Just because of anger and frustrations and all these ideas that lead to spinning tires with the energy and the emotions that we have access to. So there's lots of reasons as to why we would do any techniques of like writing an emotion down on paper and getting rid of our bitterness on 3 pieces of paper, one burying it, one burning it, and one putting it into water and letting it flow down the river. And then these experiences are more intense as they will naturally drop your brainwaves down, but eventually you'll understand how to drop your brainwaves down and be able to do that on demand. And as you do drop your brainwaves into an altered state of consciousness that is just cleaning up your heart and cleaning up your life and cleaning up your memories and cleaning up your future and cleaning up the imprint that we've left on society, reality, friendships and relationships from the past, and just finding a way to not self-destruct on anybody or anything at all, because there's like really no point to doing any of that. Oftentimes at work, these situations will have, most of the time we really learn from other people as well. So it's hard to see when we are out of our own rhythm, out of our own flow, but it's a little easier to see it in the reflections of other people reacting to certain things, and then we connect because that is something that they should not have to go through. And compassion allows us to catch it all and slow it all down, and then be able to help people that are doing that, because we've gone through that stuff too, because things get overwhelming, because this is a very fanatical time to be alive. We've gone through so much advancements in technology and travel and information and sharing and learning and expanding and growing and transforming, and all of these things are gonna be uncomfortable to the old comfortable state of protective awareness. So it's supernatural to start to take control of and get into EFT tapping or sound therapy and some Tibetan bowls that we will have in the meditations soon. It takes a little longer to upload those videos, so I'm sort of trying to learn how to not get some of these videos lost in when I upload them, because when I uploaded 2 at a time and people were watching them and they were getting in front of everyone before I couldn't find the speakers to keep going with the meditation classes. We did get some speakers, and I'll show you that stuff, all the tech that I'll be using, all the equipment, types of cameras and stuff. It's really not top of the line, but it is pretty good. Like, this phone is really, really good. looked it up before getting this, and the iPhone 11 is what else I've been shooting on. And they're both really, really good cameras, and so grateful and so thankful to be able to have access like this, to be able to research stuff and learn from other people's experiences, and find so many professionals that really go through different products, because they've built some forms of getting information out on YouTube with informing people about products. So it's really, really cool. The age that we're in is just miraculous. And what anyone has done, can do, anyone else can do. I'm just a firm believer in equality and equanimity, and just you can do anything you put your mind to, your heart to. Focus, find your passions, find your dreams, rework the baby footsteps of success, and just feel all the little steps of success. So when it gets here, it's no longer like, yeah, that was success, let's party tonight, and then we need more. That was so much cooler than all that. And if we learn how to party the whole time in a healthy way, and just love life, and find all the breadcrumbs from reality, listen to the music, and just follow your heart, every single day gets more and more and more loving, and more expansive, and more transformative, and just unfolds miraculously. And it's basically breathtaking. And most of the time, all of these moments in our life, like, really take away our ability to even say anything, because our throat chakra is locked up, because our articulation is kind of trapped behind other people's forceful forms of self-doubt that are kind of just thrown around everywhere. And I know it looks like there's a lot of like, I'm big and bad, and I can handle all this, and I'm tough enough, and I'm alone, but I'm good, and a lot of lone wolf mentality out there that's really making everyone kind of scared, and lashing out in some harmful ways that just don't have to happen. We are accepted. We are in unconditional acceptance. And there's a little bit of power behind a non-reactive state that is able to feel what's being felt by everybody, then think what everybody's thinking, then process through a filter of rationality that provides then, if anything could be said that could help this situation not exasperate itself, and not to flow into more perpetual explosions, then we're able to also find ways of saying what could be heard that kind of like brings balance back into, slows down the explosions, brings presence to this moment, and catches it all with compassion and the good of everyone involved. And then, that happened, or it's happening, or what have you. And chemicals in our bloodstreams, emotions should last 5 to 20 seconds, and then they're intense. They're real. But our thoughts are hardwired into the body that we borrow in our DNA, as far as all these things called fear or triggering emotions are basically signals to kind of like catch our awareness and say, there could be a threat over here, just in case, be aware, but it is super easy to kind of like jump into protecting ourselves from every threat imaginable. And that's natural, just because of the body that we borrow, and our DNA being hardwired into keeping ourselves safe and alive, and finding alternate routes. So there's limitless possibilities, and we can always find a healthy foot forward through this together and create community in a beautiful, beautiful way. So it turns into being able to rekindle old friendships, old relationships, old friendships that really didn't go as far as they could have. It really gets into being able to expand into meeting new friends and new people, and new opportunities open up for them as well as for you. And it's just gorgeous to just get out of our little shells and start doing things that we love with other people that love some of the same things. So it's just a natural unfolding, and it is for everyone, because everyone loves everyone they've ever met in such deep ways that it's so hard when any of it kind of gets to any points of no return. I don't, all kinds of different pointers at that, but yeah, sometimes we just gotta go do your own thing, and they go do their own thing, and then we come back, everything's on the back burner, and everything's just great. I mean, like, depending on how we're able to remember each other, really lets go of any kind of bitterness or animosity or any of all that stuff. And that's just one of the beautiful things that people do, and we all do it. And there's so many things that we do that are the same but different, and these similarities are part of how we reorganize our focus, that then provides pictures from our subconscious, and those provide emotions, and then those flow into ways of thinking, repetitive thought processes and patterns, and we can get on top of these, and we can control these as well. So we'll get into some of that in the future, and as well as some of the old videos that are already available. I will get them put into some playlists, but for the most part, most of them are basically kind of introducing some of the things that I would like to talk about, express, and expand into, and then create some awesome stuff for everybody, because I am learning, and I am getting into this photography and creative manifestation of thought from nothing into something, and have some beautiful ideas for the future. We'll talk about those soon too, but they'll also be coming up in some video project. I believe that it would be just so much fun to kind of do something similar. I have a in-person experience, sort of camping and listening to the music and walking through silence, and then kind of hearing different stages set up for a meditation class, a yoga class, sound therapy, EFT tapping, hypnotherapy, some ways of looking at memory and thought, a class all about recollection and retention, and opening up the photographic memory. So everything that you experience gets just able to retain and remember and just have with you, and just always be able to just kind of, all this information is all going to be in your brain. It's kind of like a newspaper. It holds it all. It's all in there. So being able to step into a thought without a thought is part of how we kind of control thought. Kind of just silence what's going on. Your brain's going to be an organ. And when we're stepping outside of running after the words that are feeding what we're going to say in a specific way, it's silent, and you feel the organ working. It just feels miraculous. And it feels miraculous to learn anything. Learning anything new is just beyond belief, right? Our brain is said to fire at about 1,400 neurons anytime we think anything. Anytime we learn anything, it doubles that. So it goes from 14 to about 26, 28, 24. And it kind of all depends on some of the things that we're able to focus on, some of the things that we're not thinking about or thinking about. So those are where some of the blockages come into our relationship with information and new information. It's really strange to have been told our whole lives that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and that's just not true. And neuroplasticity really has something miraculous to offer. I'm a little rusty on those numbers there, because I'll have to look where I wrote them down, and they are in some of the books that I've written too, because there's just so much information. And just being able to put all of this information down and just stepping into not worrying about remembering it. It's in a journal. It's in a Google search. It's in all this stuff. But yes, it is a process to journal it down and journal it out, write it out, write your own books, and write your own everything up, and then be able to close the book and put it down, and just not worry about that stuff. There's no need to worry about anything. But it is part of the brain's process to figure out all these problems. The brain is a problem-solving machine. So as it goes, it's never ending trying to figure out what problems you put in place. So just giving it somewhat of a rest, because there's so many more ways of using the brain. So as that is the only way we have been using it in the past, is kind of divergently looking for things in the external world of stimulation in a certain way, and then allowing the animal to run its course and use what's been hardwired in it in order to find game trails and easy routes, as well as use the worst case scenario in order to keep ourselves safe. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to understand, and then let go of, and then reorganize and become comfortable with this uncomfort. And then there's some ways of doing that. But it is getting to a long video, and it takes a long time for these to upload. Namaste. Thank you so much for listening. I will get serious and create some scripts. I know that this is just me talking about things that are inside memory in a certain way, but it is also like sort of me getting out of the way and watching and listening with and inspired by you to provide this information. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Please like, share, subscribe if you know anyone that would find value, if you find value, and if you know anyone that this kind of information could help kind of just slow down and calm down and just bring balance to, then please do so. And have a beautiful day. Namaste.